This is the Telescopic World Season 4 Chapter 3. In this episode, we will be revisiting the side note I raised in the last episode regarding pronouns and gender identity. To start out, othering is the product of thinking in terms of sameness and difference. It is a function of the comparison between people. But it is also the product of use of one of a dialectical pairing to identify the quality of a person. This dialectical quality to language generates othering, because it means that for every assignation of likeness there is a corresponding othering of some person within the system. Othering preserves the continuity of language, the balance between two opposing ideas within a dualistic framework. Othering is endemic to the system. Dualistic systems are predominant in society, and thus, the arrangement of people into in-groups and out-groups is likewise endemic. Now, as explained in the last episode, in the stepping beyond integration, the stepping into a state of negation, a subjectivity bubble described by outward action which undermines the enmeshing of the self in an intersubjective space, one must also generate narratives internally to promote the reassumption of the experiences which one wishes to assume into the conjoined consensuality. Negation promotes dissonant spaces, but to shape the conjoined consensuality is to alter the narrative fundamentally. In the last episode, I described how compelling others to adopt an internally held, or subjectively held identity, can be an effective way of altering the narrative within the conjoined space. Basically, the reasoning is as follows. By forcing others to call you they, you are doing several things. First, you are eliminating the reactive emotionality which would generate from an othering assignation. 2. You are eliminating the archetypal link between your body and your subjectivity. 3. You are juxtaposing a larger dialectical other defined by your narrative, a narrative which is affirmational. 4. You are compelling the creation of an outgroup which is defined reflexively by dualistic thought, whilst your identity is nominally post-dualistic. 5. You are creating solidarity with some group of people also defined within the confines of the they designation. 6. Further to 5, you are creating continuity of experience within that in-group defined as they. All of this is to say, that compelling others to use they pronouns is effective at, first, shaping the narrative and relegating the opposing other group to a dualistic reactive emotionality. 2. Defining them reflexively according to dissonant spaces. 3. Creating a new status quo within the conjoined consensuality which links affirmation to expression according to a non-dualistic conception of identity. Likewise, the use of existing structures such as religious institutions to re-establish a dualistic conception of identity is effective only because it defines one by a reactive emotionality consistent with internal negation. Which is to say, that appropriation precedes integration, founded upon either a familial closed social system with clearly defined dualistic archetypal roles, or a religious institutional structure, which imposes dualistic conceptions of identity. Thus, although use of these processes to limit one's ascent into non-dualistic/non-linear conceptions of reality is effective, it restricts one to state defined by the outward negation of others and inward reactive negation which results from the appropriation process. All of this tells us that, one's ascent into a non-linear non-dualistic world may compel one to express according to affirmatory narratives, but the alternative is a reductionary descent into a dualistic state of integration which undermines individual expression through negation both external and internal, following appropriation. Finally, the existence of psychic spies requires both elements of duality and non-duality, linear and non-linearity. For the worldview of the spy must be aligned with the geopolitical opponent through a reactionary response to psychological warfare. But the telescopic effect is fundamentally a non-linear phenomenon. That's the end of the podcast for today. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment and subscribe.